should retake that air base. Abandonment, he says, is the Biden administration's biggest mistake.
Coverage will continue throughout the afternoon from Afghanistan.
Meanwhile, Columbia County Schools' mask mandate now officially in effect today, but some people say they're questioning this mandate as masks are not being enforced. The mandate was made due to the rise in COVID cases in the schools and in our area. Right now, 1,000 people are quarantining with close to 300 students testing positive for COVID in the district. Tomorrow, the district will release the new number of cases within the district. We will provide you with those latest updates as they come. In Aiken County, 3 people are hospitalized with COVID within the Aiken County School District. As of today, there are 147 student cases with more than 1,100 in quarantine. 22 staff members have also tested positive. 51 are in quarantine.
As these numbers are released, the South Carolina Department of Education says it will enforce mask mandates on school buses. The agency says school must be in compliance with the order by Monday, and they'll make sure those buses have masks that meet the CDC requirements. Going to give you a live look now at downtown Augusta
and also that 5 p.m. update on Tropical Depression 9 coming up in just about 10 minutes.
All right, thank you, Riley. Deputies investigating a shooting that happened earlier today. It happened at the racetrack across the street from the BP station on Washington Road at Stevens Creek. Officials say an argument escalated and one of the people shot at the other. A bystander was hit in the shoulder.
Somebody called my phone and said your wife just got shot. Police, they are doing it. They said they're starting an investigation trying to find out who the shooters is. But I really hope they catch them.
Deputies are hoping the same as well. That investigation still ongoing at this hour with no suspects named.
Well, with COVID cases going up, some schools are sending students back home, and for some, the quarantining rules are different than they were last year. This year, there's no temporary remote option because of a new law that prohibits them from asking teachers to teach kids in the classroom and the remote settings at the same time in South Carolina. But one parent says the rules for quarantining students puts teachers in a bad spot.
The idea that we would expect teachers to prepare for classroom teaching and prepare to have a child in quarantine at the same time is unreasonable, and it's not fair to them.
Mitchell says she's able to work from home and has been working with an online education group instead of her local school district.
On Tuesday, the South Carolina Supreme Court will hear oral arguments on a school's request for masking. The court will hear from the Richland School District 2's request for a temporary pause on the state law on masking. It will also hear from the Attorney General's complaint against the city of Columbia for mandating masks in daycares, elementary schools, and middle schools.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says an executive order aimed at preventing mask mandates will be settled in court. He says there will be consequences for any school system, any district that does enact a mandate despite his order. DeSantis' order says parents can choose if their kids wear a mask to school.
But we feel that the legislature really made a big statement with their parental Bill of Rights, and that's an important piece of legislation.
Florida's Attorney General says the disputes about the law need to be settled in court and that no one has the right to disregard the law right now.
Officials say no foul play has been suspected in the death of a Fort Jackson soldier who was found dead in a state forest. Sergeant First Class Gregory Scott Abbott was found dead in the Manchester State Forest on July 22nd. The State Forestry Commission found his body in a vehicle that night and alerted deputies. Investigators later determined that multiple items were stolen from his vehicle. On August 20th, 2 people were arrested in connection with that incident. Both suspects have been charged with breaking into a vehicle and larceny. We have a traffic alert for those traveling through Evans this weekend. Officials say there will be a road closure on Evanstown Center Boulevard from Ronald Reagan Drive up to Antebellum Way. That closure will be for the Public Safety and Preparedness Day. It'll be from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday.
And we have some lane closures starting tomorrow night right on I-20. Those closures will be for westbound travelers going from Thompson to Grovetown, and this is for road repairs in that area. The lane closures begin at 6 o'clock, and they could last during the daytime on Saturday, so Heads up if you're heading out on that stretch of I-20. Some federal funding coming to the Augusta.
Why are people driving to Waynesboro, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram? Because only Waynesboro inspires what they want from a car dealership. Home delivery, price transparency, respect.
See me before you make a $1,000 mistake.
Get $8,000 off new Ram 1500s during the Make This the Summer event. And due to used car shortages, get maximum for your trade.
See me before you accept less for your trade. Waynesboro, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Just a short drive down 25.
Good to go. Waynesboro.com.
We know that drug overdoses are an issue both nationally and right here at home, and a local organization wants to start a different kind of conversation.
Our Brianna Collier sat down with the executive director of Focus on Recovery Augusta about their first ever overdose awareness walk this weekend.
For 2020, they were worse than we expected, 92,000 deaths, which is up from around 72,000 in 2019.
That's the alarming number of overdose deaths. Focus on Recovery Augusta Executive Director Christian Frazier says they calculated nationally for last year alone.
To put that into context, it's almost football season. The University of Georgia Sanford Stadium holds 92,000 people.
He says it's an epidemic that's been around for years and unfortunately won't be going away anytime soon.
Here locally, we know that we're experiencing between 2 and 3 overdoses per day in both Richmond and Columbia County. And that's just what's being reported.
He says conversations have stopped because of the pandemic, but the crisis itself never did.
It's bad. It's really bad. When people were forced into isolation, forced into quarantine because of the mitigating efforts, people who struggle with fight or flight responses and usually will self-medicate or self-soothe in very improper ways, like that was bad.
He says addiction and even overdose can happen to anyone at any time, and if they can help just one person, they're hoping it will create a positive cycle.
We're not just talking about heroin addicts here who are shooting up in the bathrooms over on the south side of town. We're talking about middle schoolers and high schoolers who have access to medications in either their parents' or their grandparents' cabinets. We're talking about kids or even adults who have been prescribed these medicines for injuries.
Which is why he says they want to do something to help by holding their first annual overdose awareness walk.
Give people the appropriate space to mourn, to celebrate, to speak out, to hold a vigil, so that we can educate.
And education is the name of the game here. The Overdose Awareness Walk will be Sunday at the Focus on Recovery Center. That's from 2 to 5 over on Davis Road, and they will have services available right there on site, including Narcan.
Everything at the center is free. National Overdose Awareness Day is actually on Tuesday. You can also reach out to Focus on Recovery Augusta on social media if you know someone who might need their help. Richard and I were just talking about this. Every family has someone who could use the help.
That's true if you think about it. Every family's touched by this.
Yep.
Let's check in now with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale. Riley, it is a hot one out there as we look at Wheeler Road. Those
Saturday through Monday.
Riley, thank you. Happening right now. People protesting the Columbia County School mask mandate.
They are outside the Board of Education building as we speak. Our Sloan O'Cone is there live. And Sloan, tell us what's going on out there.
Well, there's about 40 parents and students out here protesting the new mask mandate. They say that masks don't work, that it should be their choice whether kids are going to wear them or not, but health experts are saying that this is the best way to prevent the spread, and we've seen it work in the past. We saw earlier not many students wore masks to school this morning, despite the new requirement. This all comes after the board announced on Tuesday they had over 200 positive cases just this week, on top of 400 cases last week. The district released a statement saying that safety remains a top priority for them, and they thank their community for continuing to provide their students a safe, clean environment to learn. They end off the letter saying that we are all in this together and we are stronger together, despite obviously some disagreement from these parents and students here right now.
Very loud out there too, Sloan. We had reporters all over the first day of school with masks today. We'll have that update coming up. But coming up next, we will introduce you to today's Grant Me Hope child. We're back in a bit.
Grant Me Hope. Finding every foster child their forever home.
And today's foster child is a 10-year-old named Gina.
Gina is an energetic girl who loves baking and many other activities. Meet Gina.
Gina, born in 2010, is a sweet, energetic, affectionate, and nurturing girl who loves to bake, spend time with others, dance, take pictures, and play board games. She also enjoys riding her bike, listening to pop music, and playing and watching football. At school, where her favorite subject is math, Gina enjoys one-on-one time with her teachers.
My name is Gina, I'm 10. I've been a foster sister in my whole life. I like music, gospel music. I love to play outside. I like cartoons and Tom and Jerry because it's funny. I love to cook. I love everything but cooking pork chops. I think it's okay to work in the house, do my chores, sweep and mop, and clean dishes.
Gina needs a loving adoptive family who will give her the attention, support, encouragement, structure, and nurturing environment she needs to continue to thrive and reach her goals.
I'm looking for a home to give me love. I'm looking for to be adopted. And I'm looking for a home to stay.
Grant me hope, because every child deserves a loving home.
Sweet girl. I love that she loves Tom and Jerry and cooking pork chops.
Yeah.
We have a lot in common right there.
Absolutely. Richard said, yeah, me too, Gina. But if you'd like to go to our website, this is a partnership we do with Grant Me Hope. You can meet Gina and other children like her who are just looking for a home, someone to love.
We love these segments.
We do.
Riley?
All right, the lake forecast for tomorrow. Remember, update on Tropical Storm Ida in just about 10 minutes.
Riley, thanks. As a lot of schools in the area continue to see a rise in COVID cases, hospitals are getting overwhelmed with patients. Right now, AU Health has 7 patients who are in the pediatric unit. AU Health has a total of 106 COVID patients. But AU Health is not the only place seeing an overwhelming number of patients.
No, University Hospital is also seeing an increase in patients as well, with 124 inpatients and 15 of those vaccinated.
Our Kennedy Harris live for us outside AU's emergency room, where hospitals have been filling up and the ambulance wait times are longer as well. Kennedy, bring us up to speed.
Well, you can see it behind me. Lines of ambulances are lined up right now outside of AU's emergency department. And it doesn't look much different over at University. That's because COVID patients are filling up both hospitals, leaving very little room for any other patients. When one hospital goes on diversion, usually the others follow. So right now, both University and AU Health are limited in accepting ambulance traffic, but there's nowhere else to take the patients. So the EMS crews must wait. The Vice President of Gold Cross EMS says when hospitals are at capacity, like they are right now, the wait time is much longer than normal too. He told me it just depends on the day and time, but recently the waits could be as short as 20 to 30 minutes, but also as long as 4 to 6 hours. AU Health's Chief Medical Officer says right now the hospital is in a disaster mode.
What that means is that we're saying, hey, we need to put you on notice. We are not functioning like normal. We don't have capacity. We don't have any ICU beds left.
And with both hospitals nearing capacity right now, both AU and University are making changes in order to fit the needs. I'm working on that story for tonight at 6.
Looking forward to that, Kennedy. Thanks very much for the live update there from our medical district. The Columbia County School mask mandate started today, and so did the protest. They put these mandates in place after a rise in cases in their schools, but right now they have more than 1,000 people quarantining. Close to 300 students have tested positive in Columbia County. And coming up here on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we're going to be hearing from the concerns of parents about those new mask mandates. In Aiken County, a lot of students are quarantining, and 3 elementary school members are hospitalized. Out of more than 23,000 students, 147 have tested positive, and more than 1,100 are in quarantine. 22 employees have tested positive, 51 are quarantined. All this comes as a mask will now be required on school buses in South Carolina, and that will be starting on Monday.
Fort Gordon has announced it will close its school-age center. The closure is due to a rise in COVID cases. It will go from now until September 6th.
On your side. From the station that's on your side. This is News 12 at 6 o'clock.
Ambulances wait outside our local hospitals that don't have the space or resources for more patients.
It is not business as usual. We are essentially operating in a disaster mode right now.
Our local hospital is currently caring for 358 COVID patients that are sick enough to be inpatients in the hospital, and at least 84 of those people are in the ICU. University Hospital hit their pandemic low just last month, on July 6th, with only 3 COVID patients in-house. But as we know, cases have been climbing since then to 124 patients for them, which is the most they've seen since late January, before the vaccine was even available to most of the public.
Our Kennedy Harris live right now outside the emergency room entrance at AU Medical Center. Health officials there say they expect the Labor Day peak to be the worst, even worse than the January peak. So, Kennedy, what are you seeing out there this afternoon?
Well, Richard, you don't even have to be inside of the hospital to see the issues. You can tell by the number of ambulances lining up outside of ERs. And AU says they're at the point now where they're just trying to make space for the COVID patients. They're at the point they're just trying to make as much room as possible. They've even converted the clinic across the street that you're looking at now to an overflow ER. Doctors say this is a wave that has some similarities to the January peak, but also a lot of differences too.
It is not business as usual.
Disaster mode. That's how Dr. Cool describes the state of AU Health right now. And things aren't much better at University Hospital either.
Lately, our number of new admissions are outpacing the discharges, so we, like all the other hospitals in town, are starting to see more and more patients.
Both hospitals at capacity and under severe EMS diversion.
We are not functioning like normal. We don't have capacity. We don't have any ICU beds left.
The number of COVID patients is creeping up towards the pandemic high of around 150 patients back in January. Both AU and University currently have more than 100 COVID patients. But it's not just COVID patients filling up beds.
And this has kind of been the perfect storm of a huge surge of COVID patients on top of a number of other patients that are sick but without COVID.
They're also seeing more heart attacks, strokes, trauma patients, and healthcare needs that were delayed due to the last surge.
We've gotten to the point where those can't be delayed anymore, and that's continuing to put a strain on the system.
University has significantly scaled back elective surgeries, and they don't have the staff to open the Somerville campus as a COVID hospital like before. AU is taking up specialized care areas to make room for more beds. It's a new wave with no near end in sight.
Unfortunately, we're predicting that it's going to get worse.
Dr. Cool says they estimate this peak will be around Labor Day. Just for comparison, back in the January peak, they had about 145 COVID patients. They expect the Labor Day estimate to be about 175 patients. The way that you can help, he says, is to get vaccinated.
Kennedy, thanks for the live update there from AU Medical Center. And the timing is just awful with the shortages, but with our local hospitals telling us they're facing staff shortages. Today, AU Health hiring nurses for East Central Regional Hospital, and they focus on mental health there. That hiring fair just wrapping up a few hours ago. Applicants got the chance to talk with representatives right there on the spot.
Outside, no relief. It is school
night. So Connor Shaw, the former Gamecock QB, he's going to be showing up and interacting with fans. Should be a great time out there. Have a look at those Friday storm chances, and we now have Tropical Storm Ida. I'll give you that latest update from the National Hurricane Center in just a little bit.
Another school district going virtual because of surging COVID cases. Allendale County Schools announcing today students will learn from home tomorrow through September 8th.
And the Fort Gordon School-Age Center also shutting their doors. They're going to be closed through the 6th of September. Today, a mask mandate at Columbia County Schools finally took effect. Our crews were out there this morning. 6 different schools ranging from elementary through high school. While we've spoken to some parents who say the mandate could not come soon enough, others strongly disagree.
Our Sloan O'Cone live at the Columbia County Board of Education for us, where parents are protesting against the mask mandate. So Sloan, what do you see in Alabama?
Well, There's still about 40 parents and students out here protesting the mask mandate. It's died down a little bit since we've gotten out here, but very noisy. Lots of cars driving by, honking horns, supporting the parents and their messages. And they're all saying that masks don't work and that if their child got it, they have the immune system to treat it themselves. But we know health experts are saying that this is the best way to prevent the spread, and we've seen it work in the past. We saw earlier not many students wore masks to school this morning despite the new requirement, and this all comes after the board announced on Tuesday that they had over 200 positive cases just this week, on top of over 400 cases last week. The district released a statement saying that safety remains a top priority for them, and they thank their community for continuing to provide their students a safe, clean environment to learn. They end off their letter saying that we're all in this together and that we're all stronger together, despite the obvious disagreement out here today.
A new policy and a new protest there along the roadside in Columbia County. Sloan, thanks very much. The decision for Columbia County to require a mask comes with the district having at least 1,000 people at home quarantining and 296 more students who tested positive Monday and Tuesday alone. So a quick spike there.
Desperately trying to slow the spread to keep kids in school 5 days a week. Our Will Rio visited several